Okay, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from, to everyone. And welcome to this World of Research Program webinar series. And today's is on the series 2, that is on art of identifying the right keywords and effective searches. My name is Kurinji Malar, and I'm the training and consulting partner with ProQuest, and I am actually based in Malaysia. And if you notice, if you look at the chat box, you will realize that I have put in some notes. Yeah. So in that notes, let me just take you through that. So before I go to this talking about this series, let me take a few minutes to brief about this session. So this session is about 45 minutes, and it is aimed at the researchers, scholars, undergraduate students, postgraduate students who will be embarking in their research journey soon, or already currently embarking on the journey. So in this session, if you realize, you will be on mute most of the time, and the audio is set one way. Therefore, you will not be able to unmute your speaker. Yeah. And should you have any question, please post it in the chat panel, and I will address the question towards the end of the session. So for best experience, for those who have your headphones, it's recommended to use your headphones. And I will be sharing some important links later through the chat box. So keep an eye on the chat box when I'm sharing some important messages here. So one of the major challenges faced by new research scholars is not knowing the basic concept of the academic research. So this World of Research program is designed to support the academic research journey of a new postgraduate students and research scholars. So ProQuest will be hosting a webinar series focused on sharing the best practices and introducing you to some basic but very important academic research concept. Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, I have shared with you the concept or the art of selecting the right resources for academic work. Yeah, some of you might have attended the session 2 weeks ago. And today I will take you through the series on art of identifying the right keywords and the effective searching. And on the 8th of April, there will be another session. The third session will be on the art of literature review in academic work. And the final series, the fourth series, will be on the art of accurate referencing in academic work. That will be on the 22nd of April. So if you already got the link, you have received some information, kindly sign up for that. I do see some of you have signed up. For those who have not signed up, you can kindly sign up for that here. So let's look at our objective for today. The first objective that we want to achieve is to understand the importance of keywords in your academic work or even your academic writing. Number one is that. Number two is to apply some of the best practices, exploring the right key terms for your research. And I will take you through how ProQuest resources supports you through in identifying your right keywords and relevant for you to conduct a relevant and effective searches. And finally, we will see how to use some of the search strategies, some of the search tips. By applying some of those tips to formulate some of the effective search strategies. Yeah. So with increasing and overwhelming information across the world, everywhere, choosing the right keywords will help you to find more targeted, more relevant articles, which will eventually cut down your research time and your research effort. Yeah? So hence, we need to understand the basic searching concepts and the behavior of the search engines or the databases, as it stores a vast amount of structured as well as index data. Okay? So in general, keywords are simply words that you type it in, to perform your searches. Yeah, whether you just want to look up for some basic information, you know, just some background information. So you just basically you must have a keyword to start with. So as we know, as we would begin the research, we will need to know what we are searching for. So keywords can be very helpful in connecting the right and the relevant content. Yeah, sometimes we take keywords for very granted, you know, take it for granted, but we do not focus on that. But research got lots of importance in paying attention to keywords. So keywords are commonly known sometimes as search terms, key terms. You know, sometimes even we use search strings. Yeah, sometimes we do use different terms for that. So it's basically a keyword. So keyword basically represent the main concept of your research topic. It is a key to open the source of information, and hold on, I had not put that in. Okay, here you go. And it's an index term or a descriptor that captures the essence of the topic of a document. Okay, and what is it? More about the keywords, helping elements in discovering and finding the previously published papers in your field. Okay, so we will see this from a couple of perspectives. Later on, I will go into the details later. So your keywords can be a single word. Yeah, it can be a single word. Can be also multiple word. Can be phrases. It can be also consist of alphanumeric terms. Yeah. So the use of keywords in academic writing are actually viewed from two perspectives. So one is when you want to write your paper, then you need to discover the relevant literatures or the relevant materials related to support your research. That is to discover to support your research topic. And from the other perspective is once you've completed your research, whether it's your seminar papers, whether it's your research papers, whether it's your dissertation and thesis, you will now you want to make sure that your research paper gets visibility. You want to increase the discoverability of your papers once you've published it either online or you've published it into a ProQuest dissertation and thesis. Yeah, you want to increase the discoverability. So you need to also identify the right key terms so that your paper will be easily discovered when somebody else is searching for it. Okay, so there are two perspectives. So now let's focus the use of key terms in both perspectives. Yeah. So you know, key is very important. So just to emphasize that is just to emphasize. So keywords, keywords are created by analyzing the document either manually. Sometimes how do we come out with the keywords, you know, that's been embedded into the research paper? Either can be done manually by going through the subject indexing, or it can be doing automatically. It can be done by the system with the more sophisticated methods and so on. So most of us, we are very familiar with using search engines, like Google, Bing, or any search engines. We just enter the question or we enter the phrase, then we will be able to find some information and we go with it. But academic research or academic research tools such as these databases, it doesn't work the same as the search engines, yeah, because most of the information is academic information that's been highly indexed with academic related materials. So in databases, we will need to know not only to know how to use the key terms, but also need to know how your database will respond to your research. So if you do not understand how the database responds to your research, you may not be able to formulate your research, your search terms according to your key terms accordingly, your keywords accordingly. Yeah? So therefore, we will need to, when we begin the search, we will need to spend some time defining your research topic, defining the key terms, putting in some effort to put it into a map, put it into a chart, and etc. Okay. Now, why is the keywords so important and it needs high attention? So I think I spoke some of the points earlier. So number one is throughout the journey, as an author, whether regardless you are authoring a project paper, a dissertation and thesis, you're authoring research papers, seminar papers, anything. So in your journey as an author, you know that you need to identify the right keywords to formulate your search strategies. The first thing when you want to start your research, you want to find information to support your research. And the next one is, once you have completed, you will need to assign the keywords so that the process of indexing an article will be based on the right keywords so that it can be discoverable. So very important is the discoverability of your papers to have a right key terms. If you use the key terms too specific, the common users may not be able to find it. If your term is too common, then they will not be able also to relate it to their research. So it has to be the right keywords that you need to choose. And of course, why is it important is also, once it's discovered, the more it's discovered, the higher the discoverability rate is, the higher the improvement, the higher the citation, the chances for it to be cited in other papers. Yeah, so that will definitely will be something that you need it. So because you are influencing other research as well, so very, very important to take note of that. Okay. Now, if you have pulled out, if you've gone into any of the databases, you have retrieved some of these key scholarly journals. If you're reading the scholarly journals, just write under the keywords. Yeah, and when you read the actual journals, right under the abstract, you will find some of the keywords. Usually, it's around 5 to 6, not too many, around 4 to 5, around that average of 5 keywords. Yeah, so the keywords are the one actually representing the whole summary or the gist of the whole content that you have written in this article. So that is why it's very, very important. And how I can find a report, how I can find this information or this paper is, if I have used any of those keywords, I should be able to discover this article. Yeah, something like that. So you will be able to just have to focus to give a right keywords when you are finishing. Once you're finished and you want to publish your paper. Okay, on your right, if you go into the index done by ProQuest or any other databases, you will see that it will be indexed under the subject based on the keywords that is given here, based on the keywords and also the detail of the content. So it's very, very important to see how keywords plays an important role in not only discovering your content. If I were to put it into a subject base, it's also based on the keywords. Okay. Now, sometimes if you realize, you will also come to, if you analyze a dissertation and thesis, if you find a dissertation and thesis from ProQuest, you will know that also index, there is actually a keyword or it's called identifier. Don't let me enable the pointer. Okay, the identifier or the keywords. Yeah. So again, when you want to submit your dissertation or thesis, whether it's in your internal repository or if you are becoming partnering with ProQuest dissertation and thesis and you want to publish it into the dissertation in this ProQuest dissertation and thesis global, you will also require to enter your keywords. You have options to enter about six keywords or identifier to ensure when you publish it, the content is easily surfaced based on the keywords that you have provided. And then there will be also indexing done to match it with the subjects and so on. Yeah, so now you can see how important it's your keywords. Deciding or identifying the right keyword is. Okay, what is that? Why we have to have an effective keywords? What is it all about? So if you see some of the script, yeah, so this is actually from, if you look at it from here, this site here, you can actually go and read more about it. So if your research on this, if you look at the first one, it's a direct observation on nonlinear optics in isolated carbon nanotube. So this is the whole topic, the whole title about it. So there must be definitely some relation to the title. But if you have selected the very general keywords, like in here you can see molecule, optics, lasers, energy lifetime, and so on. But if you put in something like that, it can be, it may not be discovered when someone is doing a research, looking at singular molecule interaction, right? They're looking at it, something like that, will not be able. So what is recommended in this by the publisher themselves, this recommended to use it as a single molecule interaction. So how do you come with this is actually is because you are the subject expert, you have been doing your research for some time, so you will know by doing by analyzing some previously done articles that is very, very much related to your topic, and go and look at it, analyze what key term has been used in that particular article. So if you analyze about 5 to 6, then roughly you know, okay, I should use this key term, not a very generic one. This seems to be popular. This seems to be discovered more often or more commonly. So you need to learn about that one. Just again goes for this as well. Yeah. So if you see, this is erosion, but it's, when you look at the title, it's more relevant to soil erosion. So you will probably have to relate it accordingly. So this is just an example. Your research can be any research. Your magic is actually your keyword, based on the research they're doing. So just pay a little bit more attention, as well as spend a little bit more time to get this done accordingly. So this is just to say, yeah, because the keyword basically they represent the content of your manuscript. So get that right. Again, the keyword is the specific to your field or subject field. But there are also some arguments with this. If you become too narrowed, it can be also not be discoverable, because someone is doing a research. Sometimes their concept is more general, and then if you too specific, that content can be also not discoverable. There is also a concern about that. But let's move on to see how else we can find this information. How do we identify the keywords? Yeah. Okay. So hold on. So when we zoom into the author's perception about the nature of the keywords, most authors actually found that keywords are really important. Yes, why they were saying that's important is because the keywords helps in focusing on what really important for my topic. Number two, it's actually a representative of your whole content of your research that you've done. Okay, that we have talked about it, and very importantly, they perceive this as actually the keywords is basically it's a research address. It's like I want to locate for something, locate for some information. Its keywords is the research address, so they associate the keywords to as a research address. Yeah. So again, having the right keyword, the discoverability rate will be higher. Of course, that will give a more presence and also the impact the research of the author. Okay, now how do they selecting use the keywords? Yeah, some of them, this is based on this is of research done, that's been published in ResearchGate. You can go in and look at it, the details later. So you see that the question is how do you select the keywords based on some authors interviews or the survey. So they actually have responded, yes, we do use a couple of diverse strategies. Some actually use the paper's themes as a guide. Yeah, some use the title as a guide. Some use some consider the potential audience. They try to think what the potential readers or the potential audience will be looking for, and some actually check the relevant articles by a well-known author. So if a well-known authors, if you have similar papers that you are doing, go and look at how the well-known authors have actually done the keywords. And some say, okay, we follow a systematic approach. So in a summary, they actually look at the relevancy of word that describing the paper well, yeah, the content that in their articles practically embedded not only in the abstract but also in title, yeah, also in title. So these two must be related, and the content, especially the discussion of the key term must appear in the abstract as well. And of course, they look at the established authors. So when established authors, if somebody wants to look up for information from an established author, it's easy. All they do is, because it's a name popular authors, they go by authors to find it. Yeah, so it's easy to discover. But whereas if you are new in this journey, or you're new in the research area, then you probably not been easily discovered. So yours will be only discovered with the keywords. So what we do is to look at the authors, the well-known authors keywords, how they have used in the similar publications, the similar research, then you can apply it here. So, and also, of course, you can use the recent current. You may not want to see, sometimes the terms might have changed along the way. So you probably want to use the current articles or books that's relevant to the current research to apply the right key term. Okay. Now, how to identify or define the targeted keywords. This is something that has been suggested. Okay, every time, even when I do the training for ProQuest platform, I always suggest that make sure that you have a keyword chart. Yeah, especially if you're going to spend like 2 years in your research, 6 months in your research, it is always good to start with your keyword chart, so that as you go on, you can add in, you can remove it, and things like that. So this is just an example of the very basic initial topic. That's a very general topic. So then you are look up for the the similar terms, the similarity, the synonyms, and so on. And of course, you will look at it from a broader terms perspective, the narrower terms perspective, the related terms perspective. And how do we get all this information? Yeah, sometimes you probably think, where do I get this information? How do I know what's the broader term of this? What's the name? The best way is to look up for your thesaurus. So in most of the databases, if you go in, there will be some built-in thesaurus, or there will be some standalone thesaurus that you want to explore to find some of this information. Later on, I show you this. This is from the Library of Congress subject heading. Yeah, so the term hotel. See, hotels can be also taverns, can be inns, can be also, in a broader term, it is categorized under the hospitality industry. So when you talk about the related terms, it can be boarding houses, taverns, inns, or whatever. Some of the earlier established forms, it's also it's covered here. So when you want to embed the key terms, or you want to enter the key terms into your research, it can be any of these, using any of these terms, or it can be, if you want to your research to be discovered, make sure that you also included some of these key terms in it. On your right, if you go within the hotel, if you want to find for more different perspective of the research, different perspective of the presentation of the research, then you probably want to look at the narrower terms also. Okay, now I will take you through this mesh thesaurus. This is an inbuilt in the ProQuest platform. If you go to the thesaurus, there are a couple of inbuilt thesaurus there, including the mesh thesaurus. Mesh is medical subject heading. So why is it important? It's actually at one go. If you are a person who is very new to this research field, you are not familiar with some of the terms that's available in this field, or it's something that you have never heard about. So by using this thesaurus will expose you to more terms, and regardless it's broader terms or the narrower terms, or even the related terms. So this is the medical subject heading thesaurus. There are many other thesaurus. We will see that later in our slides. Yeah. So that is, if I want to search for a term like retinitis, so I basically want to know more about retinitis because I'm so new to this research. And what will happen is, the moment I search on retinitis, there will be more other retinitis related topics there. So, but because I want to focus on retinitis, so I can go into the retinitis directly, look at the broader terms. So the broader terms are relevant to retinal diseases, and the narrower terms are also related to all this listed here. On the same time, if you click on the notes here, it gives you the explanation of the terms, the explanation of that keywords, and also if it's this term is used term for what, which from the medical perspective, what is that term is used, and the related terms here. So having this, you have some exposure. Not only the exposure, basically you can just search from here. You can either you explode the search, or you can say use the current search, and it will give you results that all the research that has been tagged, that has been relevant to the retinitis. Yeah? So it's very easy to use the Thesaurus tools from there. Okay, now how do we want to stay updated with new keywords or the new research on your topic? Yeah, so there is a couple of ways. If you have used a couple of databases, you will realize that some databases allows you to do the allows you to do the table of content alerts, and some also allows you to do the keyword search alerts. So the keyword for the ProQuest databases, the keyword search alerts are very, very popular. So I think some of you are familiar with how to do the keyword alerts in the ProQuest database, and sign up for the citation alerts. Some you want to know, if your citation is being cited elsewhere, you can also do the citation alerts. Look up for the platform that has that options for the citation alerts, conference alerts. So, but for the ProQuest platform, the keywords alerts available. For table of contents, it's alert. The alerts is available for publication. So if there's any new publication, new articles has been added into a publication, you should be able to also keep up on the updates. Yeah. And why is it important again? Because you know that once you have you keep up with the upcoming published work, so that will be help you to not to overlook some of the similar publications. So that is for you to know, oh, that particular research exists, I know it exists, that kind of thing. And also, of course, you do not want the same studies duplications and the book that has been published and so on. Of course, that keep yourself updated within your research domain. Okay, so identifying, so to summarize this, to identify your right keywords, it's within your research questions, your research paper, selections of your initial topic, develop your research questions and so on. So it's within there. And also, of course, you can find it from the background research or the bibliographies of your papers, the research papers that you have found. So that's also, you can find the keywords over there. And of course, Thesaurus, I say to explore the synonyms, the related terms, the broader terms, the narrower terms, and etc. Of course, if you have the librarians who are the subject matter experts, that will be great for those who will be able to liaise with librarian to ask more questions. They will definitely guide you through. And of course, for those who are publishing into journals, the articles, journal, scholarly journals. So you need to know the instruction from the specific targeted journals, because they will definitely have their guidelines. How do you want to publish? Even for the keywords, how they want the keywords to be identified. Yeah, they have their own guidelines. So this is the summary of it. So if you're publishing into a scholarly journals to a publisher, so make sure that you follow any instruction on the target journals provides regarding to the keywords. Some are very, very particular about the keywords, even the number of keywords, whether it can be a single keywords, or it can be a phrase. All those information will be listed in the guidelines. So that is something that you want to look at it. And of course, before you do a quick before the publishing, you want to do a quick test and see, by using this particular key term, do I get similar articles that I've written? Does it match it to your subject paper and so on? So it's actually all listed here. I will move on to the next part. Okay, so for those who are very familiar with the ProQuest platform, let's see how ProQuest resources supports you in identifying the keywords. Okay, So for some of these platforms, if you notice when you are doing your search, there'll be always an automated suggestion that drop in a drop down list, yeah, as you type. So that will be also kind of indicator. Hey, look, this is something that you want to look at it. Usually I notice some users you ignore that, but always good to also look at have a good look at the listed auto suggestion keywords, yeah. Okay. So how do ProQuest connects with the subject specific keywords? Okay, so number one, when you do a search, for example, in this example, if you notice, I have used the consumer behavior, so that is my very broad key terms that I've used. So when I go into these search results, there will be always the subject on the left side, yeah, on the left side. That is the one will actually take you through. So in the consumer behavior, the subjects that you can explore, or the key terms that you can explore, is listed here. So whether it's consumption related, decision making related, is it consumer behavior related to competition, and many others will be also listed here. Not only that, for the business related content, you will find the industry terms as well, yeah? So industry terms that's been associated with this term and so on. Now, identifying the keywords from the abstracts. Okay, very important. Actually, when you do your search, when you run your search, at the same time, make sure that you go into the abstract and see what key terms has been used in the abstract. So you can see that you have, in this example, that you actually, I can have a quick look here, but at the same time, you probably want to read it before you assign, or before even you want to search for it. Just look at some of these papers with the keywords that has been established in the abstracts as well. Okay, if you are a familiar common user of ProQuest, if you run a search, at the bottom of the search results page, you will see some suggestion. If you don't find some information, it will suggest, why not, if you're doing customer service, why not you look at the customer satisfaction, if you're looking at customer relation experience and so on. So there will be some suggestion of the terms as well, yeah. Okay, here you go. This is what I talked about, the Thesaurus, the inbuilt Thesaurus in the ProQuest ProQuest research platform. So for those who have the research platform, you may not find every of these Thesaurus, but it is, if you have the subject-based related, so if you have health and medical related topic, yeah, health and medical collection, then you will find your MASH Thesaurus here. If you have the education related content, then you will have your ERIC Thesaurus here. So it's all depends on what content that you have. If you have ProQuest 1 business, then you will have the ProQuest business subject Thesaurus as well. So it depends on what you have. So that if you have the some of the APA's content as well, the psych info, the psych journals and so on. So you will be able to also find the relevant index terms here, yeah? So it's easy to use that. So like we have already spoken about it, it's easy to track information such as that, the keyword synonyms, the related terms, how the content is arranged in the hierarchical arrangement by looking at the broader terms, the narrower terms and so on. Okay, so some of the databases, if you notice, apart from the advanced search form here, you will also have the lookup index, yeah, the lookup index. This lookup index is also very useful, especially when you are not sure what you want exactly, but very broad concept, you want marketing related content. But if you're, so what will happen is, if you go into the lookup index terms, the keywords, and you type in marketing, it will list all the research that is with the different marketing, whether it's advertising and marketing, adaptive marketing, affirmative marketing, and so on. So these are all kind of an exposure for you to look at the key terms that are relevant to your research. Okay. So in the ProQuest research database, you know that you can also keep track on your content that being added into this platform in upcoming months, in the coming weeks, or in the coming months or so. So how do you use that feature? Basically, it's an alert feature. So you can see there's an alert options here, and you can even create the RSS feed as well. Yeah, so you can create an RSS feed. So you keep yourself updated either from the key terms perspective, or if you are doing a research from a broader concept like subject based, you can still create an alert. You can also create the RSS feed as well. You can also create alerts based on the publication. Yeah, publication as well. Okay, so that is on from the perspective of importance of keywords and how we want to identify the keywords. Now, if you want to run your search, then you need to have you have to do effective searching. Yeah. Okay. So we know search is basically an effort in just discovering something. We talked about if you entering some search into your search engines, you'll find something. If you even if you enter some searches into your databases, you might discover something, you might not discover something because you need to apply some techniques. Yeah. So basically, doing an effective search. Effective search is called as effective search is an art because you need to know how the search engines or the databases, how the behaviors is, how they actually will return your results if you use the keywords in certain manner. So the effective search is basically when it returns very closer matches or the relevant information, relevant results or targeted results, that we call it as an effective search. So effective search is an art. Okay, so the designs or the search design or the search query that you want to, you ask your own self is, do you want to find the highly precise relevant records, or do you want a specific relevant records, or do you want more and more records? What do you want? You have to specify that. So in the ProQuest platform, of course, you can do a very quick background searches, not necessarily in the ProQuest platform. It can be from your search engines as well, in Google's or any search engine, to run the background unplanned random search just to have a little bit of understanding about the topic that you want to embark in. And in the ProQuest platform, you have option to use the basic searches. So you need to understand when should I use the basic search. There's also an option to use the wildcard searches. There's also option for a publication search, browse searches, Thesaurus searches, advanced search. So usually these two research form will return more lesser results, but they be more targeted. You will find more targeted information. So in advanced search, either you use the search field to find the right information, or you can use the index searches, where you can also use the parentheses searches. And for those who are doing health and medical related, or if you want evidence-based information, then you can also perform it through this platform, this ProQuest platform. So you can use as a systematic review, meta-analysis, clinical trial, cohort studies, experimental studies, and etc. So this is how, so you need to understand how the ProQuest platform works, or any databases. You just need to know a little bit on how the response like, that's all. Okay, so the basic concept in searching, the search can include any letters, any numbers, yeah. So there is no restriction in terms of, it can be alphanumeric. So when you're when you enter the search with the punctuations, like say comma, or if you have the colons and so on, it will ignore it. It may not return result, or it may not. It will ignore it basically. So you are not supposed. So for example, if you have the synonyms with your key terms, your main key term, and you have synonyms of it, if you use a comma, then you will not find the right information. So you need to know what should you do, in order to have all the combination of your terms, your search terms, or your key terms. Okay? And the best part, it also searches formulas, like if you see in my screen, right? If you want the chemical formulas to be included, so this is the chemical formula, but you can also search it like this, CH3, CH2OH. So you will also find all the formulas as well. So it works well for ProQuest databases. And if you have a question, like we are so used to, enter the whole question, the whole phrase, that it comes with an article, with articles or the prepositions. So, but ProQuest platform do not process it. Basically, it does not. It will not it will ignore it, or we can call it actually kind of a noise word. It ignores it. So the best part is to extract through the right key terms. So if you have a phrase, extract it first. So we will see some example later. How do you extract the key terms from the whole questions that you have? Okay, now some other strategies that you want to apply is to have your Boolean operators, the proximity operators, the truncation, the wildcards, and etc. Okay, some of you, if your key terms is very long, then if you have also some synonyms in it, then you need to use the bracket or the parentheses to build the nested. So in this case, if you notice, so digital transformation and business, but in the business we are not only looking at business model, it can be also business strategies. So you put this into a bracket. If you don't put into a bracket, what will happen is digital transformation, this digital transformation and business, yes, it will look up for that, and then it will look up for end model, and this will be a strategies by itself, it's standalone. So you will not get the exact information that you are looking for. You will get a lot of results, because there will be all the results only when you have a article that talks about strategies. You will get it as well. So you have huge number of results, but this will not be the specific information that you are looking for. Then we will look at the advanced search fields and the indexes and the limiters, how to maximize it as well. Okay. Now I have in some of you might have attended my trainings in the past. If you have attended your training through your institution, I have shared the search strategies tips using this slide. So in this slide, if you notice, the very important thing that you want to take note is, you see that ProQuest actually automatically will recognize the singular and plural nouns, the comparative and superlative adjectives, and the spelling variances. So there is no need for you to spend time on looking at it. Of course, if you want to expand this to childhood, of course you need to apply different techniques. But here, of course, it will recognize this as a singular and plural nouns. Yeah. So for this, what I will do is I'm going to share with you the video tutorials, so that I won't be talking much about it. You can watch the videos later. Hold on. Okay, please check in the chat panel. Please keep an eye on the chat panel. So I have shared the 4 links. Yeah, there's a 4 link on basic search, advanced search, search strategy tips, and publication search. So if you click on the link, you will be taken to the video tutorial where it explained about how the use of some of these Boolean operators, the proximity operators, and so on. So here you go. So if you want to expand your key terms, that is why we said you need to expand, you need to build the chart or the table or the map of your keywords, because you will need to expand it. So to expand it, you need to relate the using your connectors or the Boolean operators. Okay, so for this, I will let you to watch the videos. So okay, I won't be going through this. Okay. Now, order of execution is when you have a combination of all this in your search string, or in your key terms combines of some of these operators, or the proximity operators or Boolean operators. Then you will need to, it will go on this order. The pre will be read first, and then goes to near, and then end, and or the not will be always last. Exclusion, not is an exclusion, so it always will be the last. And here is the example of the parentheses. So if you have, when you use parentheses, so it will actually override the default order. Yeah. So if you see, this is education and elementary or secondary. So if I leave it like that, it will search education and elementary or secondary by standalone. Okay. So that we don't want that. We're basically looking at education and either elementary or secondary. So that's how the system process it. That's how the system will understand it. Okay. Okay, here you go. So when you click on your link that I've shared, this will be the tutorial that you can take your own pace, your own time to learn it. It's only about 2 to 3 minutes each of this tutorial. I think it's about 2 to 3 minutes. So just take your time to learn it. Okay, this is a very simplified process. So I have spoken about it here and there, but again, when you have a main idea of your research topic, so then you will formulate your questions to understand the concepts, and then once you have the question, then you can extract your key terms, right? But that's where you will need to extract your key terms, put it into the chart, put it into the table or whatever, mind map, whatever that you create. Once you have that, and how do you do that is based on your background searches, based on your subject headings, your thesaurus, defined terms, related term, medical terms, whatever terms that is really relevant to that. How do you get that? Sometimes also reading a couple of articles, you will be able to find those keywords to support your research. And of course, with that, you will need to apply the techniques of using the booleans and the proximities and some parentheses if needed. And of course, you run your searches to ensure all the tools, that's built-in tools from the databases. Use the limiters, use the full text limiters, use the timeline, use the subjects, and so on. So let me just share with you. So this is how you want to abstract a kind of key concept from the questions that you have. So this is actually from a site I have pulled out from a site. You can also explore that. So the research question is, does the use of social networking in online classes help students learn? So you then, of course, remember I said it does, the system does not ignores the noise words or even those words that that contains such as the, or, of, and so on. So it ignores that. So we do not use. So we just look up for the main keywords, key concepts. That is the social networking, social networking, online classes, students, and learn. So from here, of course, then you can expand it. Okay, students can be also learners, can be college students, can be undergraduate, can be university students, or whatever. You just expand it. And online classes, online courses, distant learning, education, can be also blended learning, hybrid learning, so whatever. You just have to expand it. Social networking, and all these are all the social networking tools that you have in there, and of course you can expand it. So as long as you have kind of a comprehensive concepts and the keywords, it's a lot more easier to do your search. So from here, I actually take example from this. So digital transformation, it's the main topic. So the question is how digital transformation disrupts or impact the business environment in an automotive industry. So if your research is something relevant to that, so you just have to pull out your key concept. So business environment. So in business environment, this is all your key concept: digital transformation, business environment. So business environment, from here, if you look at it, it is very broad. So you can break it down looking at business model, business process, business strategy, business processes. We already covered that. Business risk, business operation, and etc. So how do you want to run? Okay, then you will focus on the automotive as well. So if I were to transfer this into a search key terms, so you will have digital transformation. I've used some of the proximity operators. Near business, digital transformation, near 10 words of business, near 10 words of either model, operation, strategy, or process, or risk, or automotive. So I will get quite a good, this is considered good result, not huge, but of course I can again break it down and look at it from the subject, from the timeline, whether I'm looking at trend or looking at the current issues, current last 2 years information, all that can be limited, use the limiters or the defined fields. Okay, now I want to also take you through, we are slightly above the time, but it's very important to take note of some of these. Okay, so what I would do is I will just take you through this again on the advanced search form is very important. Why is advanced search form is important is because basic search is when you search using a basic search form, it will go through the entire articles, whether it's the title, whether it's the abstract, whether it's in the full in the document full text, or is it in even the reference. So everywhere in the document, and it gives you the result. So sometimes we may not need that. We want to make sure that the content that we want have a good discussion about the topic that we want to explore. So with that, usually advanced search form is embedded with the search fields that relevant to the content type. So for example, the abstract, the document title, the subject headings are some of the very commonly used search form. Let me show you example. Okay. So this is basically a quick access to some of the source type, document type, and so on. But let me go to this field. Okay. So this is the advanced search field. So advanced search field, if you notice, you will have your search fields that is reflecting on the content type that you have in that platform. So if you have your scholarly journals, these search fields will be reflected around the scholarly journals. If you have your dissertation and thesis, your conference papers, it will reflect accordingly to whatever content that you have. Yeah, and here is your limiter to peer review. If you are only focusing on peer review, then go for peer reviewed selection. But if you are not, you are just exploring, then leave it as it is. And of course, you can limit to the publication date, source type, document type, language, and etc. Apart from that, remember the lookup keywords are very important as well. So you can use that to, so look up for some terms that if you're not familiar with that terms, and zoom to the research that is done by that on that particular term. Okay, so in the advanced search term, so let's take this as our research topic: mental health literacy in higher education. So identify your key terms again. Make sure that you cover, okay, mental health can be mental health, mental illness, mental well-being. Literacy could be the education, yeah, literacy, education, literacy, higher education. So this is the segment: higher education, tertiary, undergraduate, college students, university students, and etc. So where the location is Asia. So with all this information, so you just go into the search fields and say, okay, the title that I want to look up for is mental health or mental illness, or you can expand with mental being if you want, or yeah. And if you use the abstracts, in the abstract there should be a discussion about education, educational, or literacy, tertiary, or higher education, and should focus on Asia. Either you use the Asia in the key term, or you can also go to the geographical location lookup and look up for Asia countries and so on. So that's how you will get more relevant results. Yeah. Okay. Talk about publication search. Very easy. If you have a publication search in your database, go for the publication search. Enter the publication name. Then you should be able to explore directly to the publication. If you have a browse option for those who do not know where to start with, this will be also a good option to start by browsing. By browsing means you are getting some information. Okay. All right. And lastly, when you're doing your research, there's always a field called a history field or reason research, search history or something like that on any of the databases. Likewise, ProQuest has called the reason information. That when you click on it, you'll be able to see what the research that you have done in the past, in the last 1 hour or so. But this information will disappear after you have logged out, after you have sessions out. Yeah. So before that, you can quickly export the searches that you have done. So to keep yourself updated, just export it either to the RTF format, or you can export it to the HTML and so on. And you can also save the searches if you want to quickly, you can save all those searches and so on. Okay, so in summary, just we are coming to the last part of this session. So make sure you use the right keywords. Yeah, so you unpack your research question into key components and put them into separate boxes. Okay, so then use quotation marks. All those are techniques. I have shared some of the techniques. You can find it in the video tutorial that I've shared with you. Yeah. Synonyms and expanding your key terms is very, very important. There's more you need to put a lot of effort in that, so that you will discover your own content to support your research. And when you identify the right keyword, your content will be easily discovered by others. That will increase your citation rate. So that is the whole summary about what we have learned so far. For those who want a session for your own institution, yeah, if you want to have your session in your own institution, please share with me by emailing to me. We can organize in a private session for your institution. Yeah. So now I actually open up the session for a Q&A. Is there any questions so far? Okay, this session is actually recorded. Yeah, I will share the recording session with all of you. Okay, and also the copy of the presentation. Okay, so and again, if you want to, if you want me to do a private session for your institution, please feel free to contact me. You can email to me at this email address. Yeah. Okay. If you do not have any other question, of course you can we can end the session for today. And I thank all of you for attending this session. Thank you so much. And it's a weekend, so have a great weekend as well. Weekend is coming, so you have a great weekend. And here, if you want to sign up for the third and the fourth session, you can go to the to our event site. I can send the URL. Just a minute. I can send it here. There's a new URL for that. Okay, you can click on this URL and go to Southeast Asia. Confine to Southeast Asia, and then you will find all the relevant webinars for Southeast Asia. Okay. So with that, thank you so much and have a great day ahead.